She's down under, but she's on top of the world, and she won't stop. Flying free, no looking back, turning every crack into a map. Hello, beautiful. Welcome to the first episode of Likha Love. Likha is actually a Filipino word, actually pronounced Likha, but I like her. And love just represents who I am and what I want to spread out into the world. And the word Likha actually means create. So together, Likha Love, we're gonna create love. Goodness gracious. I have always wanted to start a podcast, and I don't know why I've just realized today, a few minutes ago, that I should just go ahead and do it. Why not? I thought I had to start it with somebody, but you know what? Here I am, just doing it on my own. My name is Kat, and I am a single stay-at-home mother of 2. I have lived in Australia, currently in Australia, but I grew up in Australia and lived in the United States my whole adult life until a year ago. But the craziest thing is I was actually born in a little island of Mindanao in the Philippines. I left there when I was 7, and just recently I went back to the Philippines with my parents and my 1-year-old, and we got to explore the island that my mother was born in. And I kind of fell back in love with this side of me that I had forgotten about. I have always been an island girl, and growing up in Australia and America, it always just didn't feel right, didn't feel like actual home for me. And I really truly believe that maybe I should go back to my home country. I've always felt like an island girl. I've always felt like the tropical environment is more me, you know? It's a part of me. I was born there, and I had forgotten that part of me up until recently. I've gone through my whole spiritual awakening, and it's been such a lonely journey. But I can't imagine not being who I am right now. I have grown a lot through all my pain and suffering, and I'm still learning and I'm still growing, and I want to share what I have learned, through my experiences through this podcast. My goal is to spread love, real love, true love, unconditional love, the love that we should all know, but we don't because of our upbringing. I can't even speak. Because of our upbringing. We all have our childhood traumas that have shaped who we are right now as a human being, as an adult. Everything that we do, the decisions we make, our habits, it all comes from our childhood. Whatever we learned in our childhood, we brought it to our adult life. And we're either aware of it or not. Usually we're not aware of it. And that's why we suffer as adults. We suffer in our relationships, in our just relationships with ourselves. We tend to lose that childlike faith. We lose that adventurous side of us, the ones that where we're always trying to find a way to just have a good time, have a good day, just be happy, and just be ourselves. As adults, we tend to forget that side of us. And during my journey of enlightenment, my journey of healing and growth after so much trauma in my adult relationships, I end up going back to my childhood, and I realize that that's where I need to go back and heal that side of me that I had forgotten about, heal that child that I abandoned. I abandoned myself trying to please other people, and here I am back to where I started. I was married at 19 years old. I left Australia. Just a year out of high school, I left and decided I was going to follow a boy to America. And that was only supposed to be a 4-year stay in the United States, which turned out to be 16 and a half years. A year ago, I was in desperate need of help. I was 36 and pregnant, unwed, twice divorced, and pregnant without a husband. My mental health was at its worst. I was on so much medications, and I was just lost. I lost who I was. My identity crisis was really, really bad. I lost my faith in everything, I grew up as a preacher's kid. My dad is a Baptist preacher. And after my first divorce, that's when my identity crisis started. I got married again, and I really just gave up on life. In this second marriage, I gave up on who I was. I gave up on my belief system. I gave up on my dreams. And then when I divorced that guy, that's when I really started to find myself again. Although my mental state was still not good, my recent pregnancy really was the one thing that saved me. I was with a man that was very untruthful about everything in his life. And then I started learning of all the lies and the deceit. I kept forgiving him, of course, because that's who I am. But then I realized that there was just no way I could raise a newborn in the United States with the way the system is over there. He wasn't working, and I couldn't keep working 2 jobs pregnant. And also, even after I was pregnant, I didn't want to work anymore. I didn't want to give up my right to raise my own child by sending her to preschool, sending her to daycare, and me working my butt off like I did my first child. I couldn't do it. I couldn't live that life anymore. It wasn't fair on me. It wasn't fair on my children that I continue being a slave to my job. And my parents really encouraged me to come back to Australia and seek asylum in their home. I was 34 weeks pregnant when I flew to Australia with 1 suitcase. It's me, pregnant, and just feeling hopeless. I had to leave my 10-year-old with her dad while I sought asylum in Australia, where they had free healthcare and they took care of me. The government really has some great programs for citizens, and It really was the best decision and the toughest decision I have ever made. Leaping into the unknown is so scary, but I think the scariest decisions that you make, the scariest things that you face end up being the best things that happen to you. That's where growth is. That's where you're literally you just have pure faith. When you jump into the unknown, just pure faith that something is going to work out. Something is going to happen and you're going to be okay. And you're always going to be okay. I have been through a lot and even like my closest friends don't even know, have no clue what I have been through. And that's okay. They don't have to know, but they will now that I've started this podcast. Oh my goodness. I really, just want to put my story out there, and I feel like I have a lot of insight that I can share, being multicultural and have lived in 3 different countries and have started my own business. I learned what life was like in all these countries, and now that I'm starting over again, starting my life over, I don't know, I feel like I need to share my journey with those who are in similar situations that I've been through. I'm a single mother, and I've had a lot of loss as far as relationships. But looking back now, I see that it was God's protection over me, because I had outgrown these men who weren't really men. I see everybody that I have lost, and I see that they weren't for me. And I really, as someone who is striving for more, striving for a life of love and fulfillment, these men that I entertained, really, I had no business entertaining. They weren't for me. They didn't have the same belief system as I did. And so that was a struggle. It was either me giving in and losing who I was, or moving on. And I'm so glad that I moved on, because I would have stayed stuck and I wouldn't be who I am today if I stayed where I was. And the first marriage, I really felt like I stayed way too long. I was in that one for 11 years. But I can't regret anything. I can't regret my life because of who I am today. I have learnt so much and I have grown. I'm not that people pleaser that I used to be. I learnt how to be independent. I learnt how to be courageous. I learnt how to be strong, how to start my own business. I experienced so many cool things. I've seen lots of cool places. And it was all because I created those experiences for myself. And because of my faith in God, my faith in something beyond who I am, my faith that everything always works out for me, even though to others it may look like failure after failure after failure, but to me it was growth. I have grown, and I can't regret anything. I can't, because of who I am today. And I think I'm pretty freaking cool. And I think that my inner child is proud of me, and that is all that matters. I think about my 17-year-old me in such a rush to leave home, in such a rush to be an adult, only to see that adulthood is not as fun as I thought it would be. But I think that she would be proud of me for what I've overcome and for being the person I am right now. I think that she is proud of me. I am proud of me. I've been through a lot. You know, I was a child when I left Australia. I was a child when I just jumped into this new country I knew nothing about. I didn't know anything about the culture. I didn't study on the culture. I actually had no interest in this country whatsoever until I fell in love with a boy who was 5 years older than me. We met on a mission trip. Actually, he came to Australia with his church folks from Alabama, and I was only 17 and he was in his early 20s. And I don't know, there was a spark. And that's when my plans of going to college went out the window. I actually started college. That's a story for another time. But I quit. I don't know, college is not for me. For some reason, I just cannot do college. It's just not for me. I wanted to do photography. I remember my mother being very negative about it because, you know, it's not a normal thing especially for those who went to college and when you're in a third world country and you finish school, you know, going to college is like a very big deal, which it is a big deal. It's a big accomplishment. But it just wasn't for me, and I knew I wanted to do photography, and photography doesn't require college. It just requires passion and a drive and just doing it. And that's what I did when I moved to the United States. I started it. I did it. I accomplished what I wanted to do, and now I'm a burnt out photographer. Still in this burnt out stage where I just have no interest in doing it again full time because of all the work. I'm very grateful for the business that I had in Alabama. Very grateful that it helped me survive as far as, you know, the economy. I mean, Alabama, I'm sorry, but Alabama, their minimum wage is awful. It was like $7.25 for a long time, a decade for sure that I know of. I don't even know if they've went up, but it really, you know, trying to survive in a country where they just don't pay well, with jobs that you don't have a degree for. You know, starting my own business was hard. I didn't know what I was doing at first, but it was a learning curve that I needed to help me be who I am today. I started my own business. It thrived to where I was just too busy, working 6-7 days a week, and now I'm just taking care of my little girl and trying to figure out what country I am going to visit next. Oh, my life has been one roller coaster of adventure. But I'm so grateful for the experiences, for the lessons, and for my children. I'm so very grateful. The biggest takeaway I have from the last 37 years of my life is that I needed to learn to love myself. Growing up, I wasn't taught about self-love. It just wasn't a thing. You know, I was taught to love others, growing up in church, being a preacher's kid. we had to love others. We had to put God first, put others next, and then yourself last, always. And with that way of thinking, it really kind of taught me to abandon myself. And the one thing I've learned when I took a break from church and unlearning everything that I was taught to believe, I had learned that I had to love myself first above anybody else. Because if I didn't learn how to love myself, how am I supposed to love others? I was pouring myself, my life onto others when it was so empty. How can you pour your life onto others when your cup is empty? You have to fill your own cup. You have to love yourself 1,000% more than anything, because you are the one living your life. You are the one taking care of your body, this human vessel that is given to you. You are the one responsible for it. And how can you love others and do all these things for others when you're not doing anything for yourself and you don't know how to love yourself? So in this journey of loving myself, it came with a lot of benefits. As I learned to love myself, my health got better. I'm off all of my medications and I'm thriving. I'm doing better. I'm healthier. I am better mentally. I am, my mind is clearer. My physical body is so much better simply because I started to love myself. I started being more aware of how I treated myself. And if everybody just learned to love themselves first above anyone else, they will see that it will benefit them. And as it benefits you as a person, it also benefits everybody else around you. Because you're living differently. Your mind is different. When you start loving yourself, you don't put up with bad behavior. You don't put yourself through all the suffering because you love yourself too much to put yourself through that. You have to learn to see yourself, your inner child. If you had to do life over and you had to take care of your inner child, how are you going to take care of you? Are you going to allow yourself to be mistreated? Are you going to allow yourself to not be healthy? What are you feeding yourself? Are you giving yourself the best foods possible, superfoods? You're taking care of your human vessel. Are you making sure you're feeding it the best nourishing foods available to you? Are you watering it with the best water that you can get your hands on? Are you feeding your inner child positive thoughts? Are you telling yourself words of love? Telling yourself that you are valuable, that you are special, that you are worth more? Are you telling yourself things that you wish someone was telling you? Stop waiting for someone to treat you right. Stop waiting for someone to love you the way you want to be loved. Stop waiting for it, because it may never come. You have to learn to pour into yourself. You have to learn to love yourself, because only you know how you need to be loved. Only you know what you need. So give yourself that love that you need. Give yourself the words of affirmation that you need every day. Give yourself the nourishment that your body needs in order to thrive every single day. Give yourself the energy that you deserve. Give yourself that time and attention and love, unconditional love. Stop beating yourself up for all the mistakes that you made. See them as lessons for growth. They were important lessons that you had to learn. That's why it came into your life. You're in Earth School. You're here to learn. Learn to love yourself and see where life gets you. Anyways, there will be more of that self-love talk and whatever else comes into my mind, whatever just comes out. I want to use this platform to be able to help others. And if you got something out of what I had to say, then I did my job as a part of this collective. I don't know. I just want to help others. I just want to let others know that they are amazing. You are amazing. Whoever you are listening to me ramble as I nervously start this new journey of mine. Thank you for listening, by the way. Thank you for using your time, your precious time to listen to me. I really hope you got something out of this, and I really hope that you see that you are loved and that you are here on this earth for a reason, and your purpose is not to work your butt off to make little money. And your purpose in life is so much bigger than that. Don't get trapped in the matrix. Learn to love yourself. And when you learn to love yourself, you're going to see that there is a better life out there for you, and that you, my friend, are capable of accomplishing whatever you want in this life. We're just in a video game, and I will talk more about this simulation another time. If you want to stick around, please do. Anyways, thank you for listening. Know that you are loved and that I love you, and have a magical day. Bye.